K-2SO. More like K-2S no. Am I right, people? Hey, everybody. It's the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John. Thanks for joining us today. You loved the joke. You loved it.
No, you didn't. You don't have to say it. You did.
Jedi mind trick. You loved the joke. We'll explain that. You probably already know what the deal is with that, but we'll give our takes on all that. Thanks for joining us today. It's Monday, Star Wars news. We're going to give our takes on all the Star Wars news that's out there and have a lot of fun on this episode. James and Lacey with me as always. What's going on? How are you?
John, what's going on is all the news this week is, hey, how are the Disney shows? You'll see.
Yes.
It's like just total kind of blanket statements that just are kind of surprising. In other ways, not, I guess, but a lot of speculation to be had coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just nothing.
Yeah.
You know? Just here, hanging out, talking Star Wars.
So Lacey, we have a cool thing happening on Thursday.
You good? You okay over there?
No, I'm good. Yeah, I didn't know what. We'll just say it. We have a cool interview coming up on Thursday, right?
We do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's it with?
Oh my God, you're really dragging this out. Frank,
I thought you were gonna go for it.
Who is the sweater dock working Mon Calamari?
Yeah,
is coming on the show. I'm really excited.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
Frank Ippolito, who has done a lot of creature effects work and costume building and
was on a couple seasons of Face Off.
Yeah, and he actually got to play a Mon Calamari in The Mandalorian, the one that stole the show.
My favorite.
Yeah. So
after.
We're going to be talking to Frank on Thursday, and amazing conversation, and we can't wait for you guys to check that out. So be sure to tune in Thursday. One other thing before we get going here. Our crew here was invited to enter the draft for the movie trivia schmodown, and the three of us have our hats in the ring. So there's a draft coming up on Friday where it's almost like a sports draft, but it's like a wrestling type thing. And there's a bunch of teams and managers and stuff. So if you want to see the three of us in that, which is this basically just movie trivia, but it's a one-on-one kind of combat in movie trivia, hit up Christian Harloff and use the hashtag schmodown and say you want to see TRB and Star Wars Newsnet crew in that thing, and tell them, tag us, tag the three of us, say we want to see those three in the mix, and we appreciate that.
I don't even know if I'm in it, and I'm already like, I better go over my trivia. Better go over my stuff.
I know. Like, I rewatched the Clone Wars movie for the first time in like 10 years. It's crazy, but...
We find out this week.
Yeah, so that happens on Friday, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, if you want to see us in it, spread the word and support us on that. So thanks. Mm-hmm. But we're here now to do our thing, and the Resistance Report is the talk of the town, James.
It's the Resistance.
John, talk is cheap. And Kathleen Kennedy told us at D23 that Alan Tudyk was going to be in the Andor series. She said, reprising his role as K-2SO, the lovable droid, K-2SO. But in an interview recently, it looks like he is not going to be in it, at least season 1. Alan Tudyk says that they're shooting it now, and I'm not in it. But he says if they continue to tell stories, if it's good, then inevitably there are plans. And this was kind of a surprise to a lot of people, especially since, we just did our safe bets episode, and he was left out of that because it's like, it's not even a safe bet that he's going to show up. He was announced. He was in it. We already knew it.
He did not qualify.
Yeah. I mean, literally, when we knew nothing about the show, we at least knew these two people were the headliners.
Right.
And we got the official name, if you remember. It was K2 Fast, K2 Furious. Right?
Oh my gosh.
No. All right. But he said that on stage. But anyway, Yeah, he's not in it. So let's talk a little bit about that. John, what do you think about Alan Tudyk not being in at least Andor season 1?
So being like lead editor for Star Wars Newsnet, I always get a little upset when I see peers or people saying like, if it's not on StarWars.com or comes out of Kathleen Kennedy's mouth, I don't believe it. Well, guess what? Now you can't believe them either. Because they paraded that guy out on stage, let alone saying he was in it. He walked on stage with Diego Luna and was like, here I am in the flesh.
And for the press junket afterwards and all the little bits they had, like the Daisy Ridley, Josh Gad bit, they were in that. Like,
yeah. So it's like, you know, and this show has gone through a lot of issues that has kind of gone under the radar because of, you know, how great the Mandalorian's doing, and it hadn't gone into production yet, which is not as big of a deal because a lot of things always change in pre-production for movies and shows, and I understand that, especially the more we talk to people in the industry and learn. But you know, this went through a lot of rewrites. Tony Gilroy came in and rewrote the entire pilot. And he's, you know, they're handing off directing duties for the first 3 episodes because of COVID visas.
Tony rewrote the original Rogue One, right? He's the one that came in and gutted that film too?
Well, he came in and did a lot of the rewrites and a lot of the reshoots and all that stuff, yeah. So they brought him back in and he took over this one and did a rewrite. So you got to think, when was the D23? Was it this past August? Or it couldn't have been. Or was it?
August before. So it was 2019. Mm-hmm.
So my guess is that he was, and that they rewrote all of that and took him out of it because they wanted to focus maybe more on just Cassian himself without any kind of comedic element. So maybe season 1 is going to be a bit darker than they originally intended. They don't want the comic relief. Maybe they're going to do more of his, you know, youth, like we talked about. We're guessing I think they're going to start the show with him being a little kid. And then it begs the question, are they going to retcon that comic where they meet K-2SO and Cassian? Because if he's not in season 1, that means he hasn't met him yet. It's not like he's sending K2 on to go run a deli for a season, and then he's going to come back in season 2. So I think they're going to maybe show how they meet, and then there's going to be an issue with fans. They're like, oh, do the comics mean anything and all that stuff? But the bottom line, I like Alan Tudyk a lot. In everything he does, even small bits in comedies like playing Steve the Pirate in Dodgeball, I think he's great. I know sci-fi fans like him for Firefly and that stuff too, but hearing him talk about it so candidly is interesting. But he leaves the door open, kind of saying like, you are going to see me, don't worry, which also confirmed with fans that there's more than one season to this thing, because that's been a little curious with people because they never confirm whether that is the case or not. But yeah, the funniest.
Good news for me.
Good, it is. Well, it's good news for all of us.
True.
True. But the funniest thing is him saying like, I hope they bring me back soon because I'm 50 now and I don't want to be on stilts when I'm 55. I'm just like, that's his angle of standing on stilts. So I don't know. I mean, it is kind of a bummer just because I do like K-2SO. I don't think I like him as much as you two do. So I'm curious what your guys' takes are, if you guys are bummed out about this. But I think this just has to do with this show went through a lot of changes. Like, I guarantee the original scripts that got approved for this thing are probably a way different story than what we're going to see on screen. That's my take.
Yeah. Lacey, I want to get to you, but I do think it's interesting that you think that the retcon of the comic is an issue, because I actually think that it's more likely that they're like, cool, now we don't have to do that. But we'll get into that here in a little bit. Lacey, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think?
This, to me, of all the recent updates of this show Andor, I would say all the shows currently in development, was the most shocking to me, which is interesting because obviously he's not Cassian, so it's like, not that they're like, oh, Cassian's not in it anymore, and you're like, wait, what? It's a Cassian show.
Sure.
But he was my favorite part of the show, and he was the thing that I was looking forward to seeing. And I know I've been on this show multiple times saying that they're going to have him with gifable moments and funny lines and all this other stuff. And I think that's a piece that's going to be missing now. And I don't know how they're going to fill that in, because even when you have a show that's very serious and dark, you have to have these moments of light. Otherwise, it's just going to be depressing to watch. Yeah. Like, that's Baby Yoda, Grogu did that for The Mandalorian. Otherwise, it would be this very dark kind of like sinister-y thing. But you have these little baby moments that you're like, oh, he's so cute. Now it resets your palate type thing. I'm very shocked that they wrote him out. I don't know how this is going to work. I know, John, you said that they're probably going to explore Cassian when he's younger and before he meets K-2SO, but the whole reason I like Cassian is because he's a pair with K-2SO. And the reason Rogue One worked so well for me, outside of like Jyn Erso being awesome, is the two of them together. And then they become a trio of sorts where they have, you know, these two people kind of battling each other and this very like straightforward robot being like, no, you're both being idiots type thing. So I'm very sad because I also love Alan Tudyk, and I know that ILM recently did a panel. I think it was the beginning of last year of 2020. Oh my gosh, we're done with 2020. But beginning of 2020, they did a panel about Rogue One and behind the scenes and how he was a big improv character. And a lot of the funniest moments with K2 were because of Alan Tudyk. So it's really sad that he's not going to be in it. And I understand his feedback of, oh, well, eventually I'm going to show up. But like James said, they announced the show with him on stage and then had a press junket with him, had him in interviews, had him, doing all these little bits with Cassian, and they work so well together. It feels like a big loss for me. And I think that fans are going to feel that too, outside of just the three of us talking. I feel like a lot of people had that reaction of like, wait, what? Why?
What? Yeah.
What is going on? And I can't help but raise a little bit of a red flag of, here's another example of official announcements that can go out that Lucasfilm says are good to go and everything's great, and then they don't happen. I'm not going to comment on what I'm talking about, but...
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll just leave it as it is.
Well, I don't know. Now I'm afraid to talk about what you might be talking about.
I'm joking. I'm saying it's Rian Johnson because they never talk about him, and they announced that like 3 years ago. Well, now 4 because we're in 2021.
I feel like saying Rian Johnson nowadays is like saying Voldemort when it comes to fandom.
Yeah, no.
And the funniest thing is we all want this project so bad, but it's so obvious that something sketchy is going on that you can't help but acknowledge that something weird is going on. So here's another example to me that I'm like, okay, so you're canceling this. You're not even officially canceling it. It's through the actor. So what other things are you not going to just be honest about?
I feel like they haven't done that often, and this to me was one example where I go, oh man, so this is the first time where I felt like Lucasfilm promised something and then didn't deliver on it.
Sure.
Now I was trying to look at this at what angle they could say like, well, we never said he was going to be in season 1. And we never said season 2 was coming, but behind the scenes, we knew we were shooting seasons 1 and 2 and 3 or whatever.
The way they presented it, though, was like, these two guys are back again.
I totally understand. But rewatching that announcement, they said, we're doing a series. It's called this, and these guys are going to reprise their role. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to defend them, but I'm trying to say, like, what angle could you pull
PR
publicity-wise? Yeah. Yes.
How do you feel though? Because this is like the project that you're looking forward to most.
I am a little bummed, although I brought it up a little earlier. John thinks that the retcon of the canon thing, or the comic, and I know that when that happened, I thought, man, I'm pretty bummed if they would have to say that that canon thing that we came up with and we wrote that story didn't happen, or we're gonna have to just throw it out. I don't like that at all, really. I mean, I would understand it because they have this big show coming up, but when you look at what the possibility of the future and how the show plays out, I feel like it's going to be common sense where it's going to be like, well, we already know how they met and about when they met, so this didn't happen. And I feel like the storytellers kind of knew that. I don't know. There's something about how now they feel like, okay, cool, we can be kind of free of that. Like, not that one comic holds up this whole show. I'm not saying they were like, we have to remove this famous actor because the stupid comic that we did. It's not that. But I'm saying I do think that somewhere along the lines that was something that they could remove from the as an issue. Like, we have this issue, we're going to go through with the show. Oh, never mind, it's getting rewritten and Alan's not in it. We can take that off our plate. Now that still works and we don't have to worry about that retcon. And I think that it makes more sense than in later seasons they can just work in that's the way it happened, similar to Cobb Vanth. That's not exactly how it happened, but that's how it happened.
Oh, I see. So maybe do a flashback or like in between seasons 1 and 2 the comic takes place. Is that what you're saying?
Potentially, or just do it like as a season 2 thing. Like in episode 2, we meet K-2SO. Do we know how he met K-2SO? Oh, it was like this. Okay, then we'll write season 2 like that. That's how they meet. But,
do you imagine?
I don't know.
Imagine Tony Gilroy's like, yeah, I'm the guy who saved Rogue One. That's right. I'm rewriting this whole thing. We're not doing the droid in season 1. And then like, Matt Martin's like, hi, Mr. Gilroy, Matt Martin, Lucasfilm Story Group. We actually did a single issue comic where they met, and Gilroy's like, I don't care. We're not doing that.
He openly said he's like, I'm not a Star Wars fan. Remember he gave that interview? He's like, I don't like Star Wars. I don't care about Star Wars.
He was very candid.
He's like, I'm here
that.
to do a job, and it's to gut this script.
Yeah.
To me, I want to be 100% clear. I don't think that is like an issue that's hanging things up or a reason he would be out of the show. I think things happened, and that at the end of the day they go, cool, now we don't have to worry about that hang up. Yeah. But I also I don't know. I mean, I have faith that there are people that kind of like this story group specifically, they kind of know generally how things go anyway and how these timelines played out. I can't imagine that they were pretty, not that they have any say, but like excited about somebody writing this storyline where they're like, this is not how we saw that coming together at all.
Timothy Zahn said at I think it was Rose City. I think Kyle had covered that panel at Star Wars Newsnet, and he's like, Timothy Zahn just like straight up said, he's like, whatever the film directors want to do, they do, and because they bring in billions of dollars for the company, so if they want to do something that changes my book, I can't do anything about that. So it's that's just how it is. Yeah. It's the logical sense of it all with the revenue structure. Not talking what is more valuable canon wise. I'm just talking logically. Disney movies,
business,
Lucasfilm, yeah. But you know what I found interesting is there wasn't a lot of like, I didn't see it anyway, like in social media in terms of like people being like that upset about this, where it like trended or there was like, you know, oh, they're screwing it up again. I didn't hear a lot of that.
I think it also came out at a very interesting week in the U.S. that people aren't really tuned in.
That's true too. It's a good point. But it like maybe K2 and Cassian aren't there where it's like they're doing the solo show, but Chewie's not going to be in season 1.
Yeah, that's insane.
That would explode fandom, right? So I don't know that these characters are there yet. But then the other thing I'm thinking about is if they... Was this the show that they were rewriting because it was too similar to The Mandalorian? Is that what... Like, was that the buzz that was going around?
That was Obi-Wan.
Oh, that's Obi-Wan. Okay. But they're calling this a spy thriller in their promotion of it. Mm-hmm. If Cassian has to be a spy, and I'm not trying to be funny here, it's hard to be a spy sneaking around doing James Bond stuff when you have an 8-foot robot
asking you questions along
cracking
the way.
Questions and stuff around you. That may have been a big part that goes into that, because then if they're supposed to be together but Cassian has to be a spy, that means they have to send K-2SO and have him be with other characters in the show, and
or
then
be on the ship all the time.
Then maybe they're like, yeah, you know what, it's better he just isn't here and we'll figure out a way to work him in the second season.
Right.
Maybe the genre of the show being a spy thriller
determined that
takes him out of it. Not because they don't like the character, but because it just, you can't have an 8-foot robot next to you when you're a spy. Like imagine James Bond walking around and there's some 8-foot robot next to him like cracking jokes. Like,
or even Obi-Wan Kenobi sneaking through the Death Star. Like
right. Yeah.
Robot with you.
Yeah. You know, another thing when we're talking the canon of this all too, like I've said before, Cassian at one point was a Fulcrum agent, and this could be part of that as well, where he's a tipping point for the rebellion. But when we get to the point where we see him in Rogue One, he's not Fulcrum anymore. He has like elevated himself to at least some level of leadership where he, I don't know, is not really maybe going on those do or die missions.
But how did he get there? Yeah.
I mean, I still think he is. He's there. He's getting information. He's helping the rebellion, obviously. But I mean, I think there could be something said to your point, John, that there was a time in his life where it was not okay to have a companion droid, if you will. Mm-hmm. And he needed to just be this, and maybe that's what we're going to see. And then when later, in ultimate later seasons, he gets those promotions, he moves up, he kind of gets away from that or something, and it becomes more of a leadership thing. Or maybe he's, I don't know, man, maybe he's training new people or something. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting.
Like Lacey brought up recently, we were just doing Speculation Nation style that the Ardria Arjona actress could be a love interest, and maybe, again, they didn't want the third wheel comic relief when they're trying to ramp up, like
C-3PO.
So
and I think that is a great guess. I think that she's dead on. I do too. Yeah.
I like a good romance.
I think it is funny though, because you're right that they're not at that level, but I was trying to think of a comparison. And this is, to me, it was like the major film studio, I believe it's Paramount, I don't know who owns this property, but like them coming out and they'd be like, we're doing a Zoolander origin movie, like when he's younger, and I can't think of his name. Owen Wilson and
Hansel,
Ben Stiller,
yeah, are returning to the property, and they bring him out on stage, and it's like, we're going to do this. It's going to be great. We're excited about the project. And then later finding out that it's like Owen Wilson's not in it.
Well, they weren't friends in the first one, so if it was a prequel, then it wouldn't.
But then that's exactly right. It's like there's some canon maybe things that they'd have to switch some things around.
Does Zoolander have
that
canon?
Sense.
Do you think there's like a Zoolander celebration where fans go and talk about legends of Zoolander?
The Zoolander cinematic universe.
But I did think it was a
CUs. Remember Sister CU?
Yeah. SSU.
But I thought it was a good comparison too, because you might be able to be like, well, I mean, the show's called Zoolander, it's not called Hansel. Like it kind of made sense in that, and I was like, it's kind of a lower property, but it would make sense if it was just this guy's show, and maybe this guy shows up later or something. But it is weird when you're like, these are the two, these were the stars. We're bringing them out.
They're like, it's Jay and Silent Bob,
know, man.
And we're just getting rid of Jay. It's just gonna be Silent Bob. No one talking the whole movie.
Just Silent Bob's in it.
Speaking of people not in Andor.
Kevin Smith?
The next story is that Riz Ahmed is not in Andor. So it's oddly similar to the exact same story that we just covered, and it happened in the same week. Riz Ahmed was doing press with, I believe, Hollywood Reporter, and he was asked about the Andor show. Hey, what are your chances that you're going to show up in this thing? And his honest response, and I'm quoting here, I just haven't heard of that, to be honest. So he hasn't even heard of the show, let alone has any information on him being in it. Now, we talked last week about
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson, dodging that question and kind of saying like, I had no idea, but I would love to do it. Riz Ahmed's answer here was just kind of like, I don't know anything about it, and I don't think that my character would be involved anyway. So he, more than anybody, I feel like, put a big dead end to his possibility of showing up. Lacey, what do you think about Riz Ahmed and his comments on Andor?
I think that he's being completely honest, and he was very straightforward here because he didn't want to keep getting asked about it on every interview that he was doing. Because that people ask about whatever projects they're doing, whoever it is, but if they're somehow tied to Star Wars, the second to last or last question is always like, so Star Wars. And the person's like, okay, that's not why I'm here. So with his character, which had, unfortunately died in Rogue One, I really liked his character.
What?
Spoiler alert.
James hasn't seen the movie.
I think that it totally makes sense that he's not in it. Like, his character was very specific to the storyline that was that movie. So there's a lot of pieces that need to fall into place for him to be a part of this, because he had to, work for the Empire and then get the information and then pass it off. So it's like, okay, but how would that work with this? Because they didn't meet up until that specific point in the timeline. So I think he's just being honest, and I think he just doesn't want to be asked about it again. But hey, I really liked his character, and I'd love to see it explored in another way, but I don't know what that way would be, but not in the Andor series.
He's too busy with Venom 2.
Perhaps.
No, he debunked that in this article too.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Lacey. If you bring him into this series, it would just be a forced fan service to say, oh, that's Bodhi Rook, cargo pilot for the Empire. Let's check in on what he's doing. Oh, he's piloting cargo. That's cool.
Right.
But yeah, and I don't even know that I need to see him explored anymore. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
Sometimes a character is just that, everyone wants a Disney Plus series for every character, right?
Not everybody needs an origin story. Yeah.
Tally Lintra, Star Wars story. Yeah. Yeah, Rook. So
Rook.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's smart of how he did it. Like Lacey said, just kind of like really matter of fact, read my words. Here is me saying I don't even know what's going on with this. I did find it interesting, his quote. Now I don't know, how the Hollywood Reporter presented this in terms of how he answered that question. But if it is to be taken as they presented it, if it were him acting as though he doesn't even know it exists, either means he's just so far detached from Star Wars at this point that he's not even like checking in with former castmates, which could be. He filmed that movie 6 years ago now, which is crazy to think about. Like 6 years removed from filming that thing. And he had a hell of a 2020. Like breakout performances.
Doing other things, yeah.
Yeah, like that drumming movie he did, The Sound of Metal, which I still have to see. I hear that's fantastic. So it's just one of those things. The guy was in Star Wars, and
with the science grade, 7th grade science goggles.
Yes. Right.
Oh, maybe that's why he hasn't heard of it. He's losing his
hearing. Gotcha.
They're goggles.
Well, you're talking about his goggles in Rogue One. We're talking about him deaf in that movie Sound of Metal. So we're crossing.
Oh,
yeah. It's a movie about him being a metal drummer and he's losing his hearing.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I sidetracked and was like, oh, he hadn't heard of that, to be honest.
Yeah. No, this all makes sense. There's no shock to nobody.
Yeah, 100% agree with what both of you guys are saying. And if I had to, if you had to like figure out a way to force that character in there, yeah, I mean, it's kind of true that he was involved with Galen Erso in the Catalyst comics, a book we know, that he had been having conversations and discussions with Galen for a long time, leading up to him being like, I'm gonna try to like switch sides here. That didn't happen overnight. So you start to maybe think if there was other things that he did, like small little leaks or like getting things out or whatever. But all of this is such a stretch to try to fit that character into the show. And I really don't think that that he's even one of the characters that I would think would have much to do with with Cassian pre Rogue One.
They're redoing WandaVision just with him and Borgullet.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Yeah.
And, I hate that character so much. That creature is so gross.
Gives good hugs though.
No, yeah.
Borgullet.
Yeah, and I just think that Andor doesn't have anything really to do with Rogue One at all. Like, it's not a lead up to, like, it's not going to start season 1 being like, we got to figure out who the scientists behind the Death Star plans are. I really think it's going to be other stuff completely. And that show will probably end with that being like, we're hearing about a new weapon. And it's like, that's the series finale,
Sure.
They're going to do that, tie right into him going to that planet where he shoots the guy in the back. Like, they're going to go right up. Just like they did with Rogue One right up to New Hope. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's move on to our next story, and that is that Pedro Pascal indicates future episodes of The Mandalorian and the spinoffs will explore different time periods. Quite interesting. Yeah, he was doing an interview with IndieWire, and they asked him, about the show, and I can read what he says here. He says, "I'm told what's happening and what the plan is, but I can't share it. They are in the expansion of this world where there are so many unexpected surprises and timelines that are going to be dealt with. If the characters were to cross over into these worlds, it will be utilized in a way that isn't meant to be expected. I wouldn't want to spoil the surprise of whether or not these characters from the shows we already know are crossing over." John, I mean, I had talked about this a little bit before, where I wasn't really sure when a lot of these crossover shows were going to take place and what timelines they were taking place. I don't know. In your opinion, does that help or hurt us, or are we still in the Mandalorian time frame?
Yeah, I mean, you have to enter the element of flashbacks too, which is a Star Wars thing that they have zero problems implementing these days, which is good in a way because it's another vehicle to keep fans on their toes when it comes to, wait, so if he's in that show, then he must still be alive. It's like, no, it's possible he's dead, but this is a flashback to 3 years ago or something. So I think it's good that Star Wars kind of broke that mold and started with flashbacks in the sequel trilogy and that sort of thing. So it's possible we see...
Thank you, Ryan, right?
Ryan Johnson. Well, yeah, JJ did a flashback in the Vision showing Rey.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, you're right.
But either way. I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, I threw you a little
Yeah,
bit.
no, it's okay. No, so yeah, if we see, Cara Dune or somebody, we could see her in her Shock Trooper era, or we could see like a flashback. Like they could do anything to help sell the story of these series, like the Rangers of the New Republic. They may show where people came from or something. Do like an episode dedicated to this character. A lot of series like to do that sort of thing. So it's weird with Pedro Pascal talking about it though, because that just means he's so like dialed into what's going on beyond the Mandalorian. So he's having these discussions about these other shows, and he's not really I guess he is a little bit loose of the tongue when it comes to like talking about stuff, and he's joked about how sometimes
You mean like how he let his name go?
Yeah, he said Din Djarin, right? He can be a little bit of a blabbermouth and almost the same as Giancarlo Esposito, having no problems talking about how he was fighting with the Darksaber and that sort of thing. But I am interested, and I'm curious to why he's so dialed in to what's going on, and maybe it's simply because of having conversations with Filoni and Favreau, because they're both producing Ahsoka and Rangers of the New Republic. It could end there with him, and he could just happen to be answering those questions. I don't think we're going to see the Mandalorian in Ahsoka. I'd be shocked if we saw him in Rangers of the New Republic. So I don't think Din Djarin's crossing over. But as we've speculated, I think a lot of these characters are going to start interweaving a bit, including the safe bets we talked about last Thursday in terms of who may pop up where, like in the Ahsoka series and that sort of thing. So it sounds a little Marvel-y, a little world building and that sort of thing. And I guess that's cool if they do it right. It's a little far into Star Wars when it comes to crossovers, because Star Wars has always been on that one storyline for the most part, with little tangents here and there that connect to it. Curious to see how they tackle this. But Favreau, I mean, come on. I trust everything that guy does. So
yeah, Lacey, what do you think?
I think that Pedro is dialed into what's going on because he cares. I think that's very apparent from like the moment that they cast him, when he tells that story at Celebration of how they brought him in this room and he's been a fan his whole life, and like how Star Wars basically gave him the imagination that he has, and saying like how he went in the room and he saw this concept art of like all this stuff all around the room, and he's like, well, who am I playing? And they're like, you're playing the Mandalorian. Like there had to be some discussions of like, you're the beginning of all of this. You're the Iron Man of where this story is going, with Jon Favreau of all people, of course. Like you're the Tony Stark of these other stories that are going to take off and then create this whole kind of universe that is leading to a bigger place. I think it's super cool that he knows that stuff, but like I really like that he's a part of it, and like he probably gives his input and stuff. I think that The Mandalorian could show up on these other shows. You know, he could show up in the book of Boba Fett if Boba Fett calls him up and is like, I need your help with a job or something. I think he could show up in Ahsoka if Ahsoka crosses paths with Luke and Grogu. I think Mandalorian could show up wherever Grogu goes. Overall, though, looking at each story as we go through them, I think John's right in that they're gonna be their own thing. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy were their own thing before they then met everybody else. Like, they could have stood on their own, and then they led up to something else. I think that's what's going to happen, is you're going to have these characters stand on their own before they then cross paths again. But yeah, no, it's cool. I think that's definitely a sign that he's sticking around, and he's going to be playing the Mandalorian for somewhat of a decent time from now, so that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I want to ask you guys then, because how do you think this word timeline is being used? Because, like, in some ways, I take it on face value that they're talking about, like, if we had our different shows, like James the show, Lacey the show, John the show, right? That timeline means James could be 3 years ago, Lacey would be right now, and John would be 2 years from now, right? That's how I take the word timeline. But in some cases, when we're talking about these and how things might be marketed, we've talked a little bit about that. Is the word timeline just being used like what does James do during the day? What does Lacey do during the day? What does John do during the day? And maybe there's some crossover. Maybe we talk to each other, but our lives are separate. Like, not timeline, but like separate existences along the same path.
I think it depends on the story that they're telling, but currently the way I see it from the way that they put that end scene at the end of The Mandalorian is a baton is being passed to Boba Fett, which then opens up a period of time that we can then check back in with The Mandalorian later and check back in with Ahsoka later.
This is kind of, I think, remember that quote? I agree. This reminds me of that quote of Favreau saying how...
It's basically whatever they want, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, he liked how Game of Thrones would deviate us and take us down a path with another character for like an episode or two. And that's what this Boba Fett thing could be. Like the Boba Fett thing could be 3 episodes and that's it. But it takes place in this timeline and enriches what's maybe going on in the future for the Mandalorian.
And then a year later is when you check back in, yeah.
Yeah, like Boba Fett can get into something here that causes something that happens that affects Mando's life in his season 3, but it doesn't have a direct tie because Mando doesn't appear in that. So yeah, I like that.
It's like the Good Place where they're like, time is the name Jeremy Irving, where it's like,
what's that one? Is that Kristen Wiig Heaven show?
Yeah, it's so good.
Is it good?
Wiig. It's not Kristen Wiig. It's Kristen Bell.
Kristen
Bell.
What's her name?
Bell.
Bell. Yeah.
Oh right. Yeah.
It's Anna from Frozen.
Yeah.
And forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Part of Frozen.
Yeah, forgetting Sarah
Oddly
Marshall.
enough.
That's right.
She was also in Fanboys. She was Zoe in Fanboys. You guys see that movie?
Yeah.
No.
I just rewatched it recently. It's pretty good.
I want to rewatch it, but it isn't on like anywhere where you can get it, right? You have to like rent it, right? How did you get it?
Can't talk.
John doesn't want to say.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, there were a couple other things. I mean, I don't know that there's too much more to say about that particular thing. We don't know, and I think Pedro Pascal is really only saying what we can imagine. He knows a little bit, but there's some cool stuff coming, and he doesn't want to ruin the surprise. So he's just going to let them handle it the way that he thinks they should handle it. But I think we're all kind of expecting this kind of like Marvel-esque, like, oh, we're going to see Ant-Man, and then we're going to see Captain America, and then it's going to have Ant-Man in it, but then it's not Ant-Man's movie,
You're right,
like,
right.
It's all just going to kind of mesh together, and eventually we'll probably get something that's the Avengers of the Star Wars world. A couple other things that I wanted to talk about really quick is just we had some other comments that popped up online about the Mandalorian stunt coordinators and the challenges of season 2, just how difficult it was, in that like run and gun environment. Everything got to happen quick. So it's always fun to hear about that and get the insight. We also got some Star Wars High Republic character animated shorts, which popped up on the Star Wars YouTube channel. Very cool, very nice to be able to see the characters. And for anybody who maybe is not reading the books, they have such a bigger market, they can kind of do what I'm doing, which is a little bit of like trying to get people involved, try to get them maybe jump started a little bit. These are basically saying, hey, this is this character. This is how they fit in this whole new world. Get excited. It's a whole new world. Come and join us. And so hopefully we'll see a little bit more of that. And maybe down the line, we'll start to see more things like what we've enjoyed here, like Galaxy of Adventures and other fun High Republic animated shorts. That could be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Last but not least, Electronic Arts, they are going to continue to do Star Wars games, and they confirmed that this week. We knew that, but they really wanted to drive it home. They're like, we did not lose Star Wars. We still
James,
are going to be developing games.
Did Kathleen Kennedy walk Electronic Arts out on stage to say that they were coming back?
No.
No, but I think right as soon as the statement dropped, actually, I don't know. I don't know exactly how it was, but it was very clear from the beginning that Electronic Arts is doing it, and yet they still got overlooked. Like, oh, that's done. They're not making any.
Yeah,
more
the
games.
Ubisoft thing happened, and they put out a tweet being like, "We're still doing stuff, guys."
Yes.
Yeah, the DiCaprio, I'm not leaving.
Yeah,
not leaving.
I think they wanted to be clear that we're not making less games either. Part of this new announcement, this new thing that they dropped, was that they are going to continue in new diverse types of games, even some harking back to some of the games that older generations of Star Wars fans grew up on, which is kind of cool. Maybe bringing back like something like a racer game, like Star Wars Racer or something, like things that maybe we're not even thinking about right now as a A-list game that Electronic Arts could be doing, because Electronic Arts now doesn't have to devote 100% to doing the Star Wars game. Like maybe some of these other companies can take over these massive titles and leave EA to do what they do best, which is probably a lot of microtransactions, get people involved for a little bit, maybe get them hooked, spend some money, and bring in a little bit of income. That's what EA does well. So maybe diversify their portfolio a little bit. Guys, that is it for Resistance Report. I'm excited to head into our next section. Lacey, can you take it away?
Yeah, guys, it's time for the Patreon pod race. So there are lots of ways you can support the show. You can like this video, comment, subscribe on YouTube, ring the bell for notifications. It's really nice. You get this little pop-up on your phone that's like, hey, there's a new video from them. You can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN or on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. We're growing there. Thank you guys so much for the people that have followed. I appreciate it. Well, we do, but I run the page, so I appreciate it. If you want more from us, including exclusive content, mailings, and much more, you can head over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. And on that page, starting at $2 a month and up, you can get all types of cool stuff. And as the tiers go up and you pledge in higher ranks, you get more access. And for our top tiers, our generals, you get to be a part of the show. So first of all, thank you to our generals. That would be Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, Micah Harrison, Jetta Rosewater, Michael Gaines, Bethany, Russ Harbison, Kendall Gelnar, Paul Olson, Jake Houchins. Gotcha, Jake. Jeff Connery, Oliver Lewis, Dave Hornack, and Val Trichkov. Thank you guys so much for your support. It means so much to us.
Jake, I'm going to pronounce your name wrong on Thursday, just so you know.
And just so you guys know, it means so much to us, and for all of our patrons and people that support the show, you help us talk about Star Wars and be passionate about what we like to do and talk about things and create content, and you guys help us do that. So thank you a lot and so much. So this is the part of the show that you get to be a part of the show as a general. And this week we have General Andrew. Hey, Andrew. And we asked him a question. He gave us an answer. So his question this week was, what potential storyline the Kenobi series could explore would you be most excited to see play out on screen? So, Andrew, take it away.
Yeah, so I'd just like them to see delve into a little bit of Obi-Wan's headspace, where he's at that point in time. Obviously, he had a life-changing event with the Order 66. Like to see where he is at mentally. Love to see the interaction with him and Qui-Gon, and then wherever they take the story at to however he interacts with Vader and Hayden Christensen. Be interesting to see how they delve into that. But I think it'd be really cool to see where his mindset is at that point in time and how he's really dealt with all the events that happened, and just he didn't really have time to reflect on it much in episode 4. So thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. May the Force be with you, and hope everyone has a great 2021.
Well done, Andrew. Excellent job. We're going to go to John first. John, what'd you think?
It scares me a little bit because I have some concerns about Obi-Wan being in this dark mental space. We talk about that a lot in the show because, they did do that a lot with Luke. And Obi-Wan has always kind of been this symbol of what a Jedi should be, and rising above the attachments and the sadness and the loss. Like he really does kind of stand by the Jedi code for the most part. I know a lot of Jedi screw up in these stories, but I do see what you're saying, and they probably are going to do that sort of thing where he does reflect, and we're seeing where he's at 10 years out from dealing with what happened after 66. So you make great points, and we're all right with you with the Qui-Gon thing. That's obviously going to be something really special to see, and you make a great point, and because of just how these stories were created, the episode 4 thing didn't have this story told for him to be reflecting on, so we didn't get to see that version of Obi-Wan via Alec Guinness. So this might be the time to do that. So you hit on all the right points. It does scare me a little bit, but as always, thanks, Andrew. You are the man. I know I'll talk to you, but enjoy the 500 in a few weeks, and talk soon, man.
James?
Yeah, I mean, when I hear this, Andrew, this is, and you probably already know this, but this is kind of like the stuff that I didn't want to see in the show, but I think it's the stuff that everybody else wants to see. And I know John just gave a little bit of hesitation to, but I think the way that I felt leading up to this show is that people say, oh, I'm so excited for that because what I really want to see is, and they just described exactly what you're talking about. I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but I think that you're right, that I think that that's probably what they're going to explore to some degree, because I feel like this whole line of Obi-Wan once thought as you did is probably going to be like the overarching concept behind this thing is that, hey, we're bringing Hayden back in, and Hayden is not Vader, and so there's going to be some conflict there. And I think that you're probably right about that, that we're probably going to end up seeing that. So good on you. And I, to that degree, I definitely hope that it happens so that you can be right on that one. But good pod race. Thank you so much for being a general. Always. You're awesome, man.
Andrew, how's it going? Happy 2021. It's your first pod race. You did a great job. And you and I are usually on the same wavelength. We say this a lot, I think, to each other on Twitter, whether it's Rey or Porgs or collecting, or in this case with Obi-Wan. I totally want to see this, and I want to see the interactions with Qui-Gon and Hayden as Vader. I'm super interested to see how they handle that. But overall, I'm just super excited to see this show. And you guys know, I think Obi-Wan's the GOAT, and I think this show is going to be so, so good.
Breaking news.
But Andrew, what?
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Exclusive.
Exclusive. Lacey thinks he's the GOAT.
Thank you so much, Andrew. We say this all the time, but you're one of the best fans out there. You're so, so nice, and we're lucky to have you in our community. Now we're gonna head to Lacey for some.
How do you even still do this?
For some resistance transmissions. Lacey? Thanks, Lacey. Appreciate it. Loved that. Guys, it's time for resistance transmissions. Oh my god, your face. I don't know if you're crying or you're angry.
It's
a little bit of both.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Since we have a fun interview coming on Thursday, we did Resistance Transmissions today, which means I get to do that fun little thing you just heard, which John hates. So the way this works is every week via Twitter at RBATSWNN, John puts up a crazy, wacky situation, and you guys give your answers. And I read them, and we discuss. All right. So this week, there's a photo of Liam Neeson holding up a lightsaber. And I don't know what the plaque says because my computer's so far away, but it's him holding up the lightsaber, and the challenge was to caption this photo. Right? That's it?
Yep.
Great. All right, so first up is Matt Ham at Matt Ham.
Way to get your handle, Matt.
Thanks, James. Thanks for that. Really appreciate it. Okay, Matt said, quote, "Perhaps I killed a Jedi and took it from him."
Oh, that's
excellent. Matt, I think that's great.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I was looking into this, and this is quite possibly the only time in canon that a character refers to them as Jedis. It was Anakin refers to them as Jedis.
Does he?
In that scene. Yeah. And I think it was left in because he's not supposed to know, and he's supposed to just be, I don't know, referring to them kind of in a way that he's heard about them, like a mythological kind of thing. Almost like Rey saying, like, Luke's skyscraper, I heard he was a myth, you know, like, and it's like, it's not quite right. But no, it made me feel the same as like Luke calling them robots in A New Hope or something. Droids, he calls droids robots in A New Hope.
It just sounded like you said not quite right when you just said that.
Lacey, the plaque says Star Wars.
I know, Star Wars The Beginning, July, October 97.
So why do you sit there and you say, I don't know what the plaque says?
You just made it gigantic on my screen, so I saw it.
You saw me make it gigantic?
Yes, because it's a Google document and we can all see when you make changes.
So anyway,
next.
Let's move on to the next one. I just thought it was funny. The Jedi.
Oh my God, now it's been deleted. Great. Next is Adam Odell at Odell Adam, who said, and this is, let's see. I know it was some sort of space movie I was in. Star Battle, I believe, or something. I'm not sure because I definitely don't know what it is or follow it closely. Nor am I going to be in an upcoming show or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Well done. Next
and this happened after our other episode too, but like this is another example of Liam Neeson talking Star Wars and showing off his lightsaber. Yeah. Like, what are the odds?
Yeah.
Next is Skywalker Jedi Academy at Skywalker Jedi Ed.
Hey, Ed.
And they said, ancient home decor for a more civilized age. It's not as clumsy or random as a bass on a plaque.
Yeah.
It could be either or. Don't laugh at me. It could be either or.
The bass is open.
Okay.
That's a different spelling.
I know.
Bass is B-A-S-S. This could be bass. This could be bass.
Slap at the bass.
I saw it and also considered that it was most likely a bass, like on a wall, too.
Anyway, next is...
But anyway.
I hope it's the singing type. The ones that are like... And they like flop out. Anyway. Next is Baz McAllister at Baz McAllister.
What's up, Baz?
Way to get your handle, Baz. What a great name.
Could be Baze. We don't know.
I think it's Baz. He said, I went up and down areas with this lightsaber. I went up and down areas with this lightsaber hoping I'd be approached by somebody. I'm ashamed to say that, and I did it for maybe a week, hoping some walrus man would come out of a pub and we'd have a go at me or something, you know, so that I could kill him.
There you go.
Next is Likeable Rogue at Lankin99. Oh my God, Irish accent? I can't do an Irish accent. Okay. He said, quote, I have in no way been approached to reprise my role of Qui-Gon Jinn in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Look at this lightsaber.
Try an Irish accent.
I don't even know how to do
Neeson
one.
Impression.
I don't have one of those either. John, you want to take a
go ahead.
swack at it?
It's you.
Luke,
Swack.
a lightsaber.
That's it? You're not going to do the whole quote?
I'll try the whole quote. This isn't going to be good. We have Irish listeners.
I am Irish, and I'm ashamed to say I can't do one. Go ahead.
I have in no way been approached to reprise my role of Qui-Gon Jinn in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Luke, a lightsaber.
The lightsaber sounds good. The rest of it...
That's why I only did that part at first.
Next is Chris. I'm going to mess up his name. Van D Mail at BG_COMDR_Chris. Commander Chris. Chris, where's my Han Solo? Still waiting.
He's like, when you get my name right.
I'm sorry. Send me a message on how to say it. Okay. He said, quote, but what I do have is a very particular lightsaber. A lightsaber I have acquired over a very long career. A saber that makes it a nightmare for people like you. So Lacey, John, and James, if you agree I have the best looking lightsaber, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you.
I think he has the best looking lightsaber.
Hey. Two things with this real quick. Number one is that we answered that question the other day, and then I saw this image, or I saw him holding it up, and I go, that's a pretty good looking lightsaber. Like, it looks cool. It looks kind of like the other ones, but it does feel like that would be one that you could get a good grip on, to be honest with you. The other thing that I was going to say is we did our 400th episode, and I didn't think about it at the time, but I made that stupid thumbnail of it's Qui-Gon, but it's Liam Neeson on the phone or whatever. And I'm like, this is so dumb, but I think people are going to have a laugh at it. And then it's like the one that everybody's sharing, guys, I love this podcast. Check them out. Look at the kind of stuff they do. And I'm like, stupid picture of Qui-Gon Jinn.
And I literally was like, I am not using this on Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
Next is Kyle B at Luke's Green Saber. And Kyle said, I wonder how much I could get for this on eBay. Probably a lot. We learn on Thursday that you can buy anything on eBay, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, stay tuned.
G Lucas 77.
Yeah. Next is LT at Logan Tesmer. Hey Logan. Logan said the lightsaber that killed Darth Maul. And then it has the Twitter thing that says multiple sources have disputed this claim.
That's good.
That was clever. That was very, very clever. Yeah. Guys, thank you so much. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. And if you're feeling extra friendly, follow us on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. Back to you, John.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Thanks for those Resistance transmissions. Keep those coming. And be clever, because, sometimes people dial into the one thing that's like the go-to, and there's like 7 of them, and I got to pick the one that came first, just to be fair. So go outside the box. Get a little wild sometimes. But thanks either way. These are always so funny. Make sure you do subscribe to the show. Your preferred podcast platform, YouTube, if you'd like that, youtube.com/Star Wars Newsnet videos. Go to Star Wars Newsnet for all of your Star Wars news, of course. teespring.com/store/Resistance Broadcast if you want our swag. And pick up some of our gear. We still have the Makes It All Too Happen pins avail because we need to keep that going. As Jonas Sotomo, Chewbacca himself, said on this podcast, we must keep the flame burning for Makes It All Too Happen. So you're a part of that too. And always use that hashtag Makes It All Too Happen, of course. So Thursday, we're going to be joined by Frank Ippolito. As we talked about earlier in the podcast, a great conversation. We're so excited for you to check that out. Just another vantage point on what it's like to make these types of programs, and we go on tangents. It was just an amazing conversation. So
we laugh a lot. It was good convo.
We look forward to you guys checking that out. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and StarWarsNewsNet.com. And if you like me talking about old movies, my podcast, Just Like the Movies, is on all your favorite podcast apps, and you get my weird brand of humor on there that these two don't have to listen to. So
yes, we do.
James, how about you?
Twitter and Instagram at Meyer Trunks is where you can find me online.
And rocking just some sweet, nice shirt, James. Nice shirt you got there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got this guy right here.
Custom fit.
What? All right.
Lacey.
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin.
All right. What is our word of the day, ladies and gentlemen?
John's lame humor.
How about bad Irish accent?
No, we keep doing Europe stuff. We gotta come back to the US once in a while.
Well, anything except my lame humor.
John's lame humor. John sucks.
I don't like any of these choices.
End the bit.
Hashtag no. John sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
How about we just do one more Europe for the road?
Okay. Hashtag Europe.
So bad Irish accent.
Bad Irish accent.
Yeah.
That works.
All right. Well, enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you, of course, Thursday morning. Unless you're a patron, then you'll see us every day because we put new content on every day. But we'll see you Thursday morning right here with another episode of the Resistance Broadcast. We will see you around, kids.
Bye.